I'm can't stop the feel. I told you. Blessings make me ginger. Oh my God, go ahead, stop. We go ahead, stop. We go ahead, stop. We go. Hey, let's go make that ginger. Hey, enjoyment. We go ahead, stop. We go ahead, stop. We go ahead, stop. Yahoo passes the ball to Rabbi Akiva up the pitch. Passes to Rabbi Yochanan. Oh, he passes it to Yishai. Yishai passes it back to him. He passes it back to Yishai. Oh, what is this? Oh, Rosh Hashiva Pinchas is coming up. Passes back to Rabbi Pinchas Shaddai. Oh, he passes to Zohar. He shoots. And it's a goal. Oh, see my guy. Yes, sir. Oh, you killing. You idiot. Double. You don't inspire me. You don't inspire me, no. That's it. Whoa, that was it. I told you, if you didn't have a family back home, you would never leave. You would never leave. Make a plans, don't ask about me, just tell them I be clean out. Original gun dollar for the Oga shot. Ask them who's gonna lead the way, they say Oga now. President show like Rabbi Yochanan. Bringing Torah in the land of Canaan. What say ye sons of Ham? Without a borders or a down fine God shot. Babylon done finished plus his time's up. Rabbi Pinchas, I feel this leader on the quest to distinguish the bitter from the best. My shot level's good for the starter, but you gotta have depth to understand the matter.
Television presents Rabbi Mordechai. It starts like this.
I be with when I the goals in my way, I they chop them like Dino. They say when you got God in your plans, you can make your plans bigger. So if they ask about me, just tell them I be winner. Me, I be winner. When problems come my way, I they chop them like Dino. They say when you got God in your plans, you can make your plans bigger. So if they ask about me, just tell them I be winner. Original gun dollar from the Oga shop. Ask who's gonna lead the way, they say Oga now. President Joe, in the land of Canaan. What say ye sons of Ham? Without the borders or a down fine God shop. Babylon done finished plus his time now. Rabbi Pinchas, I feel this leader on the quest to distinguish the future from the best. The shot level's good for the starter, but you gotta have depth to understand the matter. If you follow me, I'll water like water. Now the joys like water. Oh my God, they swim up. Man, against the Sahara. Oh my God, just that window. Fire shots, then we spin up. Hey, now we're here. We're taking over. Hey, come down. Make them cry.
Bring back that invoice. According to my calculations, you owed 300 million 100 years ago. So if you calculate the interest, all these things don't finish. And you all this year.
Rabbi, it's not recording, it's just on Facebook.
It's recording.
Oh, it's recording right now?
It's recording in my computer.
Yeah, it's recording your computer.
Yeah.
So I have to pause for 1 second? So we went to, we're here again, Brashina Kadisha. Wanted to thank Rabbi Pinchas for creating a yeshiva where we can learn and we teach and we share what we learn, which we learn here, which is and dance, yeah. And everybody probably saw before the year started. You saw Zachariah Levine, Zachariah ben Avraham, L'chaim OG, and he blessed us with some of his new music. I think one song was actually with Young, who's a producer originally from Florida, but he's living in Los Angeles, but he's here visiting as well. And it's a big point because every culture, if you learn with people from Iraq, if you learn from people from Syria, you learn from people from Persia, you learn with people from Iran, you learn with people from Eastern Europe, everyone. Music is a big part of how the Siddiqim throughout the generations have expressed happiness. And that music has always been connected to the cultures of that time and what's going on. And so, L'chaim OG is making music specifically for the space. I'm not limiting it, but just making music specifically for the space of yeshiva and learning and giving chizuk to people who learn. So Hashem should strengthen his efforts and bring him lyrics and words and ideas that touch the masses. Amen. And most of us coming from Black culture, whether it's in Africa or America, hip hop and these types of things. This is our culture. This is how we communicate. This is how we express ourselves. So, we got to make it holy. Okay, so tonight we're going to tackle a big issue. And the big issue that we're going to tackle tonight, and this is kind of a precursor to kind of, in a way, how we're going to deliver Torah ideas in North America. But we're going to explain tonight how Hashem has created a world and gave us a world in this generation that the free market system of capitalism and globalization, with the right wisdom behind it, will be a mechanism to lead us to world peace and into a new era of human thought. And so we're going to get there. But before we get there, we're going to create a few rules to understand this year. So the first idea, so the Torah begins with this concept or this idea, or God explaining to us, this Bereshis bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. He says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, right? So the Arizal says that the reason why that we use the word Bereshis starts with a bet and not, other words, is that the bet represents the idea of Bria. And so the Bria is this idea that we live within four worlds. Like sometimes you go to IHOP and you order pancakes and they have these pancakes stacked on top of each other, right? Right. So you get four pancakes. So the Torah, the sages tell us that we live, the reality that we live in is basically four levels, four pancakes, whatever, four levels. The highest level is absolute. And that's just pure light from Hashem. That light from Hashem starts to become somewhat physical, or not physical, but it starts to express itself differently than just pure light. And this is the idea of Bria. And then the word from Bria goes into the world of Asiya, Yisira. And yes, right, Yisira. In the world of Yisira is like, considered the world of formation, where that light kind of becomes, it develops somewhat of a personality, for lack of a better idea. And then it goes into the world of Asiya, which is the world of the physical world that we're in, and that's where it manifests itself. So the light comes down from this upper world, like pure light, like if you could imagine, like pouring. You have some water, and you pour it into something that filters it, and as it filters, you're able to distinguish. So the light itself, the pouring would be the world of absolute. The filtering process of taking this water would be the world of Bria, and then the world of Asiya would be this world of kind of differentiating the different aspects of the water. And then the manifestation of that water for you to drink would be the world of Asiya, right? So we live in 4 worlds. That's real. We live in 4 worlds, and we only recognize the world that we're in right now. So how do I make this idea even more clear? So science says like this, science being quantum physics. Quantum physics says the human eye only sees less than 1% of reality. Not just the human eye, all of the 5 senses, right? So the human eye only sees less than 1% of reality. And not only that, that this 1% reality that we're experiencing is connected to this 99% reality, right? Go ahead, please.
That's a fact.
It's a fact. Some people say 5%, some people say 1%, but yeah, but that's either the human eye sees less than 1 to maybe some people argue say 5% of reality. And you can look that up, that's quantum physics.
It's infrared and ultraviolet, right? Everything in between that you see and everything else you know.
Exactly. And so the idea is to say that the human eye only sees less than 1%. Even say if you say 10%, right? But we're going to go 1% because it sounds good. Less than 1% of reality. And there's a whole 99% of reality happening around us all the time. And you could say cells, molecules, all these different things are moving around us all the time, and we can't see it. And so the sages take it even further and says, not only can you not see the cells and the molecules around you, you can't see the energy that infuses the cell and the molecules, right? Because there's an energy that everything that exists exists in a frame of energy. And so that energy that's behind, that infuses it, you can't even connect to that on the 5 senses. And to even go further, we're saying that there are literally worlds. There's worlds that are happening around us that we have no physical recognition to, right? So this is the idea. So the idea is to say that the human being is limited. And you guys know that this is open discussion. This is Habura. So jump in. The rabbi's here with us. You know, to give makos if I say anything wrong. Sometimes you need. Some guys pay for it. But the thing is, the point is saying that our rational perception, even if you don't want to deal with the spiritual worlds, right? Say that's too heavy for a person. But just on a physical level, we know we have cell and molecules around us, floating atoms, floating around us all the time, and we can't see any of it. And so the scientists call this idea that of what we can't see, string theory. You can look that up too. String theory are these energy vibrations that are going on around us all the time that influence the reality that we live in, right? Well, I joined in. So how do I make the screen big again when it goes small?
You can click on your picture.
Yeah, I click on it, but it doesn't make it big. Yeah. Oh, so you do it twice?
Double click.
Okay, double click. Okay, fine. So the scientists tell us that there's cells, molecules, this whole thing. But you understand, in the Torah, we don't just focus on what it is, we focus on what is the source of it, right? So what we understand when we ask a Jewish person or someone who's in Torah, we say, hey, you know what? This physical reality is fueled by a spiritual reality. So that 1% reality that our mind is able to comprehend is fueled by a 99% reality. In the same way that I have a body, which is, I could only see, like, according to science, only 1% of that reality I could see, which is the human body, but that human body is fueled by a soul, right? That is a soul. Everyone has a soul and body. When someone passes away, the body's still there, so what's gone? The soul's gone, or an aspect of the soul is gone, right? So we want to know what fuels that soul in order to give it life. So that's Hashem. So the point or the idea is to say that there's a physical reality, there's a non-physical reality that our mind is able to comprehend is fueled by a 99% reality. In the same way that I have a body, which is, I could only see, like, according to science, only 1% of that reality I could see, which is the human body, but that human body is fueled by a soul, right? That is a soul. Everyone has a soul and body. When someone passes away, the body's still there. So what's gone? The soul's gone, or an aspect of the soul is gone, right? So we want to know what fuels that soul in order to give it life. So that's Hashem. So the point or the idea is to say that there's a physical reality, there's a non-physical reality, there's a body, and there's a soul. And so the magical question is, what fuels the soul? I know how to feel the body, right? Akiva's having an amazing cheese sandwich. You know, people are having l'chaims, you know, all these, but these things all fill the body, right? Going to sleep at night, you know, relations with our wives, all these different things are fueling the physical reality. But what fills the soul? Oh, he's back. Oh, they probably blocked the.
Oh, yeah, it's locked, right? Yasuo said he can't even get it.
He can't get it, so the whole thing's like that. Yeah, Reflush Lima to the police officers that were involved in the stabbing. And the old city's locked down. We can't leave. Pretty sure it's the reason why my wife can't get in either. Okay. Maybe no more violence. And sadness leaves this world. So okay. So thank you, Rabbi Benjamin, for blessing us with your presence. Have some tea. Have some tea.
The grandpa, all he doesn't grandpa.
Undercover. He got loaded up. Okay, so this is the question. What fills the soul? I know what fills the body. I could go to any university in the world, and they'll tell me exactly what nutrition is, what I need to do, but what fills the soul? And so the Torah says that the only thing that could fill the soul is the light force of Hashem. The light force of Hashem. So Hashem gives us this spiritual technology that we call the 613 mitzvot and all these things within that. And all these things are here to fill the soul. But the world that we live in today tells us, no, don't worry about the soul, just fill the body. You know, buy this, buy that, work this, build this, conquer this, acquire that, all these different things, and you're gonna be happy, right? You see a commercial for a sports car, the guy's driving, he has this girl that they told us was beautiful and all these other forms of advertisement. They said, this girl's beautiful, and if you're successful with this girl, this guy has these types of clothes on. All these different things are going on, and that we're told is supposed to make us happy, right? That's what we're told. So where does this desire to be happy comes from? This desire for happiness comes from the idea of the soul being filled. And this is the issue in North America, is that we have a whole community of people, hundreds of millions of people that believe that if I'm successful, if I'm wealthy, if I have this amount of diamonds, if I have this house that's this big, if I have this car, if I have this many women, if I have whatever I want, these different things, I'm going to be happy. And the Torah says the opposite. He says, no, you're only going to be happy when the soul is filled, because the soul is what fuels the body. And if the soul leaves the body, you're dead. Okay, so that's that idea. So let's talk about the two. Go ahead, please.
Did you see that maybe the problem is that, like Rabbi Zachariah likes to say, happiness is transactional and joy is a state of consciousness. So maybe the problem, maybe yes, having that girl or those girls and having that car, those clothes, and job is gonna make you happy. But maybe that's the problem. We're running after happiness instead of running after or seeking joy, which is a state of consciousness. So maybe that's the problem. Happiness is only it comes and goes, and really we should be looking for joy, which transcends a person's
Surroundings
and circumstances. stances. That's why a person can be rich, can be happy, but he still feels like there's something that he or she doesn't have because they don't enjoy.
100%, and I think you're making a very important point, is this idea of being able to separate pleasure from fulfillment. Because a person could achieve a lot of pleasure. Like a person could go out to a club and bring 7 girls home with him, right? And all these girls are 10s. And he could do whatever he wants with these particular girls and experience a lot of pleasure. But he's only gonna have true fulfillment when he's married and he has a dedication to a particular woman and he has children and he has a family. That's gonna bring him fulfillment. But that's not what we're focused on. In the West, in America, we're focused on pleasure, right? And that's exactly what you're saying, is this idea of pleasure blinds us to this concept of fulfillment and we're not able to differentiate.
Just a funny idea, but they say, you saying pleasure, I think it's also sort of like wants versus needs, right? What you want versus what you need. Pleasure is like, I want to feel this, I want to feel that, I want to have 7 girls. I need one woman and to blah, 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 blah.
Shabbos
and I think for people that go through the 3-day sheleg, it crystallizes in your brain the difference between wants and needs. Because the natural thought is, hey, I need water every day. I need food. I need whatever. And then you realize, like,
not really.
Is it possible that I just wanted that? Okay, maybe one day, but not 2 days. Like, I for sure need water after 2 days. You know what I mean? Made it in. So ninja.
I know. And then I have pizza for you too. Yeah, exactly. You can take the ball.
Not wants versus needs, but there's also an idea. It's funny. I remember in junior high school, a friend of mine had this definition, and she was like, "What you're doing is masturbation. Like something that feels good, but it doesn't produce life." And I'm like, and if you think about it, the culture, and now the industry of, which is like the biggest industry in the world, is like that's the thing. Like, hey, don't worry about like actually creating something or making something. Just feel good. Close your eyes. Imagine you're anywhere, and just do that all the time.
That's why they call themselves the consumer society.
Yeah. Consumption. And so this idea of consumption has created a society that's not able to empathize with other people that are different than them, whether they're people domestically or even people abroad. Because if you're only focused on consuming yourself and consuming what you want, then from that place, you're self-absorbed. Like America is all about my rights, what my rights are. As we're in the Torah, we have obligations towards others. And we're gonna get into that, but we're just building a koach and understanding, but the Torah itself has obligations towards others. We have obligations towards God. We have even obligations to our own body. But these are things that God commanded us to do that makes us go outside of ourselves. In America, we just have rights. So if we limit our intellect and we limit ourselves to that frame of reference, we're not going to be able to achieve these states of consciousness that Akiva was saying that are going to allow us to be fulfilled. So let's talk about these tools, and then we're going to build into the economy. And I'm telling you, you're going to be really surprised where I'm going to go with it, because I know you're not thinking about it. So the thing is like this. So you take the 10 best basketball players. I think Zakar has heard me say this before. You take the 10 best basketball players in the world, right? Or forget about basketball. You take the 10 best athletes in the world, right? So we can include some of the guys from Africa and some of the guys from all around the world. You take the 10 best athletes in the world and you put them on a basketball court and you give them a basketball and you say, play basketball. They will never be able to experience the game of basketball unless you give them rules, right? You have a ball, you have 2 courts, but you can't do it. You will never be, it'll be chaos. People will be running into each other. This guy grabs the ball, he runs out of the court. This guy is doing this guy. So you can't play the game of basketball without rules. This is the concept of the 10 Commandments. God created a system to start with that gives us rules to be able to realize this game of life that we're living in. So let's go even a step further. If you're an athlete, even if you have the rules of the game, you cannot maximize your ability to play the game without fundamentals, right? You have to know how to use your body, you know how to step, you have to know how to position yourself, you know how to understand how the other person is working and adapting yourself in that way. Those fundamentals are the 613 mitzvahs, right? So we have rules on how to play the game, and then that's the broad, that's the collective, that's the chal, and then there's this idea of the prat within that, right? Which is me as an individual. And so this idea of me as the individual allows me to now maximize my ability as a human being, because ultimately God created us and he wants us to be able to experience the greatest parts of who we are. He doesn't want us to live this world and say, oh, I'm just living this world and I'm here for a period of time. And I'm just going to serve my selfish desires, whatever I want to eat, whatever I want to consume. I do that for 50, 60, 70, 80 years, and then I'm gone. Like, what type of life is that? There's more to us than that. And anybody who's a parent and anybody who's a wife knows that there's more to life when you have to give, and you have to provide, you have to share versus just being consumed with yourself. So this idea of the 613 laws that God gave us were basically ways for us to actualize our potential in every way. And we're going to go into that in more detail, but this is just a premise. That's what this whole idea was. And so let's go even a step further. One of the famous things, you got Kobe Bryant, you have all these different guys who made his Aliyah Avayas, Ali and Shemaim. And one of the things he talked about was this idea of, he was obsessed with watching game tape. You know what I mean? Like he was always watching tapes on, this guy, on Jordan, on Larry Bird, on Magic Johnson, this, he just would watch game tape. I remember Shaq said when Kobe first came to the Lakers, he said like they'll be like in the locker room on halftime and they'll turn around and Kobe's like, he'd be like shooting and do this by himself. Like he was just in that mindset, like, God, this guy's crazy, But that's where his head was at. Like his head was just about, he was the ultimate student of the game. Jordan was like so great and he was almost like Kiddush. Like he was like so like something we never seen the Jordan before. But Kobe in this context is a perfect example because he was such a student of the game. He had tremendous athletic ability, but he was a student of the game. So how do we understand the student of the game? That's what all these books are. This is what the Talmud is. This is what the Chumash is. Whatever. This is our game tape. We're studying the minds of some of the greatest spiritual people that ever existed on planet Earth, and we spend all of our time watching game tape because when we leave this room of study, we got to go out in the world and we got to perform. We got to perform these fundamentals. We got to perform these rules that God gave us. We have to do all of that dynamic in order for us to maximize our potential in this lifetime. Like getting married. You know what? Married in a Jewish context, everyone has their own experience, but it's work. Because it's not just you work and I come home and you come home and whatever, we do whatever. It's like, no, like it's real meticulous connection because the whole relationship between two people who are married is about connection to God. I want the ultimate fulfillment in life. So I'm married to you and God created this rule of systems. He gave us the rules and he gave us the fundamentals. And we have game tape in order for us to be able to achieve the highest connection to God. And so this is the premise of venturing into this discussion.